Welcome to Vivid Talk. I'm your host, Gwen Witherspoon. I'm a brand strategist and a better life coach. I am here to teach you a fresh way of thinking and doing for all you were designed to build so you can make your vision vivid. And a vivid vision inspires people, starting with you. So I love that. But first, I want to make sure you follow at Gwen Fuchsius on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Gwen Witherspoon Coach on YouTube. Now, each week I'm going to start the show off with a clip from a previous episode. And so tonight, I want to share one from an episode called Clearing the Brainstorm. This is what I call the brainstorm. And I love this graphic, and you're going to see it a lot when it comes to my Flip Productivity System. But it really speaks to all the things that are going on and bombarding our brains. If you have children, especially if you have children at different ages, if you're married, if you're in a relationship, you have family members, you have concerns. Like I have aging parents. My husband has aging mother. You may be going to school. You have now we got all these. We got taxes and financial documents and all this stuff going on, right? All at the same time. And your brain, again, I mentioned before, it's like a bucket, and it only has so much space. So when we get overwhelmed, we're getting overwhelmed because there are so many thoughts and ideas and pressures and all these things bombarding our brains. The bucket is getting full and you don't know what to do with it. And what we have to learn how to do in order to be able to produce, right? Even able to get to the vision that you have set in front of you, you have to be able to clear the brainstorm. You have to get clarity. That's what we keep talking about. We say it all the time. I got to get my mind clear, right? So we got to get clear the brainstorm in order for you to be able to be productive. So tonight we're going to be talking about getting your head right because your thinking is your biggest problem, for real. Whatever you want to do, your head is the thing that's really standing in your way. Okay. So tonight, I love this. We're going to discuss how your brain works, the head trips that we take, and then I'm going to show you how to use the V.I.V.I.D model to just to really change how you think, how you look at the world, just to help you get your head right. Okay. Now, this one, it's so funny because I told you I was going to start doing pre-recorded episodes because I wanted to take a much more deliberative approach, right? I wanted to add more structure to the show. I wanted to keep myself from rambling too much. I wanted to shorten the episodes. I want you to get more value out of every show. And so I thought pre-recording was going to be my best bet. But that ain't working because it's so much extra work to try to figure out what it is I'm going to say and then create all the elements and design the segments and do all the pre-recording. So that has become a problem. But what I like is what it's done is it's forced me, I have created more structure. But it's also given me the lesson for tonight, right? Help me understand what to talk to you about because I started out the morning just going, dreading. And for the first time in 38, almost 40 episodes, for the first time I was like, oh, I don't have to do the show tonight. I'm like, they're not going to miss it, right? And I was trying to create excuses for myself because I was stuck in this brain fog, I have been really all week have been struggling through this brain fog, through this difficulty, through this mental torment, just mental gymnastics I've been doing. And, typically I'll come up with a topic for the show based on what's going on in my life. And so this one was perfect. And once I started studying it and preparing to talk about it, the floodgates opened. So I have a lot to say about this, and I'm going to try to squeeze it into the one and try to keep it really timely. Matter of fact, I'm looking at the time now, 7:05. So I was thinking about the fact that the way you think is really the key to your future, because it's tied to everything: your ideas, your beliefs, your your emotional state. And what I have learned on this entrepreneurial journey is I'm learning how to recognize my own emotional, mental state, right? Be- because that's giving me it's giving me some tools to actually use when I find myself slipping into just some kind of a state. Most of it is because I find myself getting really disappointed or getting frustrated when this future that I have imagined, when it's not coming together the way I want to, when it doesn't feel like it's happening at the pace that I want it to, when it doesn't feel like I'm making the impact that I want to make. If the money gets low, it's easy. Like I recognized a pattern. This was really several years ago. I made this discovery. And what I learned was, if I had $5, right? If I was trying to do something and I had $5, then I was cool. But because I had learned how to operate with low funds, not having money was not a problem for me in terms of all the ideas and everything I've ever tried to create. But what I discovered was, when I get to zero, then I had a problem. And so for you, it might not be that low. It might be if you don't have $1,000 in your bank account, if you don't have $10,000, if you don't have $100,000, whatever the number is, or whatever the trigger is. I think we have to learn how to discover what is the thing that gets us into a negative mental space. What is the thing that causes you to stop? A couple of weeks ago, I talked about breaking through roadblocks. Well, what kinds of mental blocks do you allow to be erected, and what kinds of things trigger those blocks? What makes that happen for you? What makes you shut down? What gets you depressed? What makes you upset? What makes you feel like you are hopeless? What makes you feel helpless? What is it? What happens? What kind of mental state are you in? What needs to be going on around you to bring that on for you? And I think we have to be so aware. So this is what I've learned. So what I realized in the last, this is Wednesday. I feel like it's been a whole week already, but I feel like I'm going through a major transformation. And I've been on this journey really since before I started doing Vivid Talk. And what I'm doing is I'm stepping into my destiny. I'm stepping into the things that I've always believed about myself. I'm stepping into the vision that I've held on to for 30 years, that I've kept in front of me, that I've kept working for. I'm stepping into that space. But what I'm seeing and learning and living in real time is that in order for me to step into that space, it demands a new version of myself. And what's happening is my brain is fighting me every step of the way. Every step. And as I learn to recognize this mental battle that I am going through, because I'm fighting with my old self is fighting against my new self, the new person that's trying to come forth as I step forward. This is being just pulled on and I'm trying to be dragged back by my old self, by my old ways of doing things, by my old way of thinking. But what's beautiful is I've made a decision. So because I've made a decision that I'm going to move forward, I am learning to recognize what's happening, what's going on. It doesn't make it feel better. It's incredibly uncomfortable. It's exhilarating and uncomfortable at the same time. I feel like I got that, the angel and the devil on your shoulder. But it's really caused me to think about this message for tonight, or this episode. Just really, you got to get your head right. And that's your biggest problem. And I was thinking about how the brain functions. If I could get a graduate degree, a PhD. I mean, I have a graduate degree. If I could get my doctorate, then I would study the brain in some way, whether it's psychographics or personality assessment, personality test, whatever it is. That's what I would study, because I think I'm so fascinated by how our brain works and how it functions. And so I looked it up. I mean, I haven't done any deep study about it at this point. I'm just fascinated, right? I'm curious. And I was looking, your brain is the visible, tangible organ of your body. And it does three things. It controls the function of your body, of every one of its organs. Every process that relates to the body, your brain controls it. And your brain also, it's responsible for the interpretation of information from the outside. So when you see something and how you take that in, how you how you understand it, it's coming through your brain. And then the last is your survival instinct is in your brain. We all get up every single solitary day, and the first thing we want to do, everything we're doing, is about survival in some form. And so your brain is trying to help you to survive and keep you from danger and keep you from having trouble. And so as a result, when something new comes in or new is introduced, your brain actually kind of goes to work against you. It's because it wants to protect you. And if you don't understand that this process is happening, it's going to be very easy for you to be really overtaken by the whims of your mind. And I looked it up. The mind and your brain are two different things, even though they kind of live in the same place. Your mind is the part, that's invisible and transcendent. It's this world, it's your world of thought, feeling, attitude, it's your beliefs, your imagination. It's all of those things that are not physical, right? And and from a biblical perspective, like, it's really talked about as your soul, your mind, your will, and your emotions. That's the realm that you're dealing with there, right? But the function of your brain impacts your mind. And I think you have to learn how to recognize what is what you're operating from, where you're operating from, what you're working with, what's happening to you at any given moment, because it controls literally everything about your life. Now, this makes me giggle because my first the first subcategory was head trips, and then right before I signed on, it was like the head trips we take. so so we go on these head trips, and part of it, you ever heard the phrase "get inside of his head"? Boxers, any kind of athlete, they get inside of each other's head, talking trash, trying to knock them off their game, trying to help them, keep them from having their best performance. And so if you allow anything to get inside of your head, anything to live inside of your head, what do we say? Rent free. Anytime you allow someone or something or some idea to live inside your head rent free without challenging it, you need to get your head right, right? You you don't want anything to own space in your head that you did not permit to be there. And I mentioned in another episode about the book, How to Negotiate, or how, it was a no, it wasn't How to Negotiate Anything. It was about marketing, and it was talking about just the principle that your brain, we kind of create these grooves in our brain when we learn something, and the first time you hear it, that it creates whatever the idea is or the thought or the belief. When the first time you hear it, it creates a groove in your brain. It's like every marketer wants to own a space in your head. They want to create a groove where that they can only fit into. So when you think about this thing you need, that they come to mind. And what we want to do is we want to be in control of what is taking control, what those ideas and thoughts, or at least aware of those ideas and thoughts that are taking up space in our heads, right? And I thought about the phrase head fog. Ah, head fog. You are confused, you're disorganized, it's hard to focus, you can't articulate your thoughts. That's head fog. Oh my god, I've been going through that. I'm creating a new program, a new coaching program, new training. I'm not, it's not new. I'm actually just developing it. I'm making it vivid. I'm working on how to present it effectively. I'm creating a platform for it to live in and a community to engage people in. I want to be able to take the content and the information I'm creating for Vivid Talk, make that more useful to you, bring it into, just bring everything together. And oh my God, and I'm working with a coach myself, a set of coaches. And let me tell you, the things that I'm having to do is creating this war in my whole being, it feels like. And I I know I'm doing the right thing. I know I'm going in the right direction. I'm finally getting the kinds of support and help I've always needed. The help I give to everybody else, I'm finally getting it for myself. And let me tell you, I realize that I am just going through this head fog. Every day there's some level of overwhelm, some confusion, just I'm not some days I just get up, I'm super directionless, even though I have a very clear direction. So it's this feeling, this space in my head. I'm going, I gotta I got to get together. And I really I'm learning how to press through all of that. We talk about another head trip we take is mental blocks. We talk about the fact that, really a mental block is the inability to recall information, or it's the, um, or your inability to perform a mental action and uncontrollable suppression of an unwanted memory is this block. Like you just can't get through it. You can't see past it. You can't function past it. And those mental blocks are coming because your brain is trying to protect you. And if you don't recognize that it is showing up or when it shows up, then it's going to keep you in a cycle that you can't get out of, and it's going to sabotage your efforts as you are trying to press toward your vision. The other head trip we talk about getting your head in the game. It's kind of related to what I talked about to begin with, somebody getting inside of your head. But you got to get your head in the game, and you have to get it in and stay in. So head fog is your inability to focus, or the difficulty. You have difficulty with focusing. Well, if you getting your head in the game means that you are intentionally focusing. But if you don't recognize that your head's not in the game, you can't focus, right? So we're going to take a break there. And when we come back, I'm going to walk you through how to use the Vivid model to actually get your head right. Okay? Now that commercial was about the brain map online assessment that I offer on my website. So I wanted to say a little bit more about it. I mean, that was a quick little 15 seconds, but you can visit gwenwitherspoon.com/shop to go to the store and then just look for the brain map. It's alphabetical, so it should be kind of toward the top. But the brain map online assessment, I'm going to encourage you, please invest in that, because it is so important for you to understand your unique thinking profile so that you understand more about yourself, so that you can clear the brainstorm, so that you can get your head right, so that you can create space in your brain for the things that need to be there rather than those that do not. That you understand all of the patterns of thinking, how you behave, how other people perceive you, you're going to really appreciate it. It's a really valuable tool. So please go check that out. Now, so before we went to break, we were talking about getting your head right. And I covered how the brain works, the head trips that we take. And so now I want to go into how we use the Vivid model to actually get your head right. Okay. So the Vivid model, remember, it stands for vision, identity, voice, information, and development. So vision. So vision is you have to decide what you want. What's the big picture in front of you that you want? What would make your life better? Then you got to decide, hey, this is what I want and this is what I'm going after, period. Whatever it is. Okay. Now there's some things around how to choose and what all those kinds of, but you gotta, more than anything, figure out what is it that you really want. And sometimes we say we want X, but we don't understand what it takes to get it, to have it, to keep it. We don't understand the price that it takes. And so as you go after it, you might discover, hey, Nedra, as you go after it, you might discover that you really don't want that. But you got to start somewhere. So in your heart of hearts, what is it that you really want? What's the big picture? So you got to get a vision. You got to clarify your vision. Where are you headed? Okay. And then number 2, you have to establish your identity. And so this one, I really want to encourage you. You got to see yourself in a new light. So if you want to go someplace that you haven't been and that you aren't right now, right? You got to see yourself in a new light in order for you to be able to become the person that you need to be to step into that, to in it, and then to sustain it. And so I confessed, what I'm realizing is I am struggling in my head. My brain is fighting me because I have to become something different in order to go where I've been believing for decades. And so you got to see yourself in a new light. And seeing yourself in a new light is not necessarily seeing yourself better. Seeing yourself in a new light might mean that you need to step into the light and allow God to show you the shadows, show you those dark places, show you where you are messed up, show you how contributed to the situation that you're in. I've had to look at myself and go, wait, the reason you aren't further along, or the reason that this doesn't work, or that this always turns out this way, or seems to always turn out this way, is because you do this, and that. You are motivated by this. This is why. This is something you need to change if you really want to go here, right? So seeing yourself in a new light is really being able to see your whole self, to appreciate every piece of it, to understand that everything that you are is valuable. Every mistake you have made means something. It's useful for you. Even when you have been all out intentionally wrong, like that, you have to recognize that the whole of you, who you are, is enough, and that you are capable of becoming and stepping into everything that you can imagine your life would be, and that God is just waiting for you to step up and be willing to just face the light and see yourself fully and completely and recognize your full potential and just go for it. Okay. So that's identity. So the next piece is voice. You need to find your voice. And when it comes to getting your head right, I really want to encourage you to change the way you talk. Change the way you talk, because what you say, you have truly what you have said. If you say it always turns like this, and no relationship ever works, everybody always disappoint me, right? So she said all my layers are being exposed and it was so needed. Oh, honey, I feel like the blooming onion at Outback. That's hilarious. Because, well, but listen, don't feel bad. You're not the only one, right? So the teacher must teach themselves first. Yeah, but you got to really change the way you talk, because your talk, what you say, exposes your real expectation. If you know, I was sharing, I mentioned I have a new coaching program that I'm developing, and I sent it to a couple of people, just before I even got it ready to really totally, open it up and present it. I sent it to somebody, and this over the weekend, they signed the contract, paid the fee, and everything. And I went into my coaching group and I said, um, I got my first student. I got my first registrant, right? And they said, you sound like you're surprised. And it was so funny because I didn't really know I was feeling like that or sound like that, but I was. I was kind of like, she actually signed up, right? But we are getting what we expect, and I think sometimes you have to act your way into expectation, but you also have to, while you're in the middle of it all, I think the more important the thing is for you, the harder it is to clear the brainstorm. In order for you to It's harder for you to get your mind right, because everything is riding on it. It's so personal. Like, all of this is about who I believe God designed me to be and what it is I really want to do in the earth. And it's coming to pass, and I'm really going after it, and I'm clearing space in my life for it to happen. But as it is happening, it's very easy to go, uh, what's happening? Like, and to say negative things about it. Oh, I'm not going to call so and so because, well, she ain't going to do it anyway, right? He's not going to be interested. I mean, all the things that we say. Oh, I've been down this road before, so I know how this is going to end up. Well, you know what? You may have been down the road before. You may have experienced something very similar, but until you start talking about it, and allowing the what you say, the message that you speak to yourself, until you allow that to align with the vision that you have and where you believe you're headed, and until you allow what you say about yourself to line up with your own, with the true identity, with what you have been, destined to be, and who you've been destined to be. Until you do that, you are still going to have your head all jacked up, because you can speak yourself into reality. You can speak those things. You can call them. Well, but the Bible says, call those things that be not as though they were. It doesn't say deny the things that exist. It says call the things that be not. The things that you desire, the things that you believe, the things that you see in front of yourself, the things you see for yourself, call those things into being. Whether it's a relationship, I mean, I'm dealing with so many people. We've had so many bad relationships, and you've been disappointed so many times. You've been hurt so much that it's so easy to just give up and say, I just want to be by myself. You don't really want to be by yourself. What you want is, you don't want to be hurt anymore. You don't want to be disappointed anymore. So tell yourself the truth, and change the way you talk. Okay. So you got to find your voice, and you got to speak and consistent with what it is you really want and what you're believing. And so the other piece, the next step is, you got to uncover missing information. I was telling myself I was going to move over when I got to this one, since it's so long, but I might forget while I'm talking. But you want to uncover missing information. And part of that is, the way you are going to get your head right is, I want you to commit to learning something new. And let me just warn you, as soon as you do it, it's going to hurt. And your head is going to fight, because your brain is trying to protect you. Your brain is trying to keep you in this safe, comfortable space. And you have to know that, just like a muscle, you have to exercise it. You have to learn something new so you can train your brain. That's learning new things is mental exercise, and it causes your brain to it really strengthens your brain, and it helps you to get stronger in really every area. You get more capable to, you improve your brain function overall. But just like when you exercise physically and you lift those weights, or you use that muscle you haven't used in a while, that activity is going to stir that thing up, and man, it'll be painful for a minute, but you're going to learn to enjoy that process. I saw somebody on social media and they asked, is there anybody else that really loves the pain that you feel the day after you exercise? And you can really get to a point where you enjoy that. You enjoy the difficulty as you are changing and growing. You enjoy the failure that it feels like. You enjoy really breaking through these barriers because you are exercising those muscles. And then the last step is to commit to your development. Another one I got to move over for, right? Commit to your development. And when it comes to getting your head right, I want you to get comfortable with being uncomfortable as you apply what you've learned. So part of the difficulty that I've been going through mentally is I'm going full force into the things that I know I need to be doing. And the more I do it and the more I learn, like sometimes it feels like my brain is just going to explode. I'm like, oh, this hurts. This is so much. I can't take anything else in. But what I have to learn is I got to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because when you start out doing something new, of course you're going to be uncomfortable because you don't know how. If you don't know what to do next, that can send you through all kinds of mental gyrations, because you are, it really gives way to chaos, right? Because we all want to control our environments. We want to control our future. We don't want anybody telling us what to do. You want to make your own decisions. That's sometimes for some people, that's why you want to work for yourself, right? So nobody can tell me what to do. But what you don't understand when you say that is you're stepping into something so much more difficult, much more challenging, and much more gratifying. But you have to learn so much when you step into this entrepreneurial life. But it's the only way to live. It's the only way I know how to live. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to do it every day. But you got to know that this is all about growth. When I say this is about your personal and professional development, this sounds so nice, but it's not nice. It's not nice. It hurts. You get disappointed. Sometimes you try stuff. It feels like most of what you do doesn't work. And when you look at statistics for small business in general, most of it is failure. Most people are failing, right? And you should take some comfort in that, to know that everybody around you is not succeeding and you're this misfit. The reality is we are all failing. We are all failing left and right every day. We're just getting better and better at presenting ourselves, and the smart ones, we keep going. You keep going, you get up, you dust yourself off, you learn. And so then there really is no failure. You can frame every situation and make it work for you and make it positive. So the Ned just says, when you're an entrepreneur, you can't hate yourself for pushing you. Come on now, you cannot hate yourself for pushing yourself. No, you can't. And you can't hate the push, right? You can't hate the process. You can't hate the weight on your arms as you're pushing. You have to learn how to really enjoy it. Enjoy the challenge. Enjoy taking it on. Enjoy conquering the challenge. Enjoy learning and figure something new out, right? I always feel so good once I finally break through and find a solution to an issue that I've been dealing with. But so I'll go back over those really quickly. How to use the V.I.V.I.D model to get your head right. Voice, you want to decide what you want first, and then really make a decision also that you're going to change and that you're going to go for it, right? The other piece is seeing yourself in a new light. Be willing to step into the light to see your whole self, warts and all, and be willing to accept that and step into it. And also take on the challenge to become better, to become more, and do whatever it takes. And celebrate your process every step of the way. Don't criticize yourself so much that you shut yourself down, okay? Because that negative headspace comes when we allow that mind, the transcendent part of our being, that emotional self, when we allow that to really just speak lies to us and tell us things and cause us to believe lies and cause us to go down into a spiral, a negative spiral. So you want to celebrate every step of the way, and be able to look in the mirror and say something good about yourself. Be proud of yourself. Every wrinkle, right? Every gray hair. Me especially. I get to be real grateful. And then voice. You want to change the way you talk. Change the way you're speaking to yourself. Find your voice that is your own motivational speaker. Right? You should be that for yourself. And then information. Get comfortable. I'm sorry. Information is committing to learning something new. And then development. Get comfortable being uncomfortable as you are learning to apply. You're doing something with what you're learning, because it's just a constant. In the tech world, they call it reiterations or iterations. That 2.0, 2.2, 10.9. That's because they're doing constant improvement. And it's just incremental progress. And so you need to learn how to be comfortable in the middle of it, how to celebrate that progress for yourself, and you're going to get your head right. And the last thing I want to say, I thought about procrastination because the temptation when I am in a negative headspace is to procrastinate. And I read somewhere, it was talking about procrastination really is like a mental condition or mental problem. And it really is a response to fear, because psychologically, if you are afraid of something, you don't want to run to it. So if you are avoiding doing a certain task, or it's okay if you decide you're going to put something off, intentionally until a certain time, that's one thing. But when you are involuntarily putting things off and procrastinating, oftentimes it's because fear. And what you have to do is learn how to recognize that in yourself, so you know how to do it, because it's a response. Procrastination is a response to hopelessness, to fear, to helplessness. And it's easy to go sit on the couch and just eat a pint of ice cream. I don't know anything about that, but and then also or just yielding to depression, because you don't know how to really deal with what's going on in your head. Now, and the last thing too, the thought I had was, I thought about babies. They say that infants, we need to allow them to learn how to self-soothe. And I realized that we are probably soothing ourselves as adults the way we probably tried to soothe ourselves as babies. And what you want to do is learn just really how to get, they call it mental toughness. But mental toughness is really just about your ability to push through a negative situation, and to persevere, to endure. And I think that as entrepreneurs, one of our biggest things, one of the ways that we self-soothe is we soothe ourselves with busyness. We find all these activities to do so that we don't deal with the issue at hand. And what happens is then we don't get the progress that we want. And then when we don't get what we really wanted, then we kind of regress, right? This cycle. We go back to, oh, you're disappointed. You then you start saying the wrong things to yourself, right? So then we start doing the V.I.V.I.D model in reverse. The big picture now becomes this terrible outcome that you are seeing on the horizon, as opposed to this beautiful positive future that you've imagined. And then you start seeing yourself in a negative light, right? So instead of stepping into this powerful identity, then you retreat into this small, I'm a grasshopper mentality. And then instead of using your voice effectively to speak what you want into existence, you are basically talking about and solidifying what it is you don't want, right? And then instead of learning new things, you just go back to the very things that you always do. You get lost in old habits, and then instead of developing and becoming comfortable out of your comfort zone, you are developing a deeper hole. And so we don't want to go that direction. You want to get your head right. And I hope that this helps you to figure out some ways that you can do it. You don't have to do all of it at the same time. You can pick one thing and say, okay, I'm going to practice this today. Okay. So you can watch the replays, of course, at gwenwiththespoon.com. And I think it's just a great habit. Like put it in your, put in your headphones and just turn it on and just listen, listen to it a bunch of times, because we don't learn by hearing one time. You have to hear over and over and over and over. But anyway, so that's the end of that. I want to thank you so much just for your attention and for joining me today. But as always, I want to provide you with some kind of a tool, some practical thing to help you. And so this week, because I mentioned the new portal that I'm creating, I want to give you access to my new portal. So if you are interested, I'm going to, it's called, the website address for it is portal.vivid.academy. And I love this. It's a place where entrepreneurs create the future they imagine. You get coaching, training. This is going to be a community. You're going to be one of the first folks in there. So you need to just come on and ask, and I'll give you access. There's paid training. There's paid access to certain content, but there's going to be plenty in there that I think is really going to help you. So just go ahead to portal.vivid.academy and ask to join. But that's all I've got for you. Thank you so much for joining. Please share the link. I wanted to do another reason for doing the pre-recorded episodes was it was going to give me an opportunity to engage with people more while the episode was going on. And it just looks like that's not going to happen. So please help me. Share the link. Even after the fact, share the videos, share your favorite episodes, tell people what you like about it. For others that are trying to build businesses, ministries, coaching, anything, anyone that needs to get a vision for every area of life, help me find them and help me to just get this better. If you have a question, if you have a comment, make sure that you post it below. I will, at some point, we're going to see it. Ron's helping me always to monitor the chat. And at some point, we'll see those comments and we will always answer. And then if you have a specific question or something that you need, you can always contact me on gwenwiththespoon.com/contact. And we'll get back to you as soon as we possibly can and answer your question. I just really want to help you. So see you next Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let me see what we got. Do my social.